Welcome back, everybody. We are back for another episode number 11 of the Literally Me podcast. It's your boy Tristan here, per usual, joined by my good friend from across the pond, Dino. How you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Been a shorter week once again.
Uh-huh.
I feel like the last couple of times we had longer breaks, and now this is the second time we had a shorter break.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I still managed to watch one movie
Cool.
besides
Yeah.
the one we're gonna talk about this week, which
Today,
is
Paper Moon,
Mhm.
1973 by the GOAT, Peter Bogdanovich.
Hell yeah.
Super excited to talk about that one. I know we were talking about it like on like texting about it the other like what was that, yesterday or the day before
Yesterday.
after you had watched it. So I'm super excited to actually get into it and hear your thoughts. But before we do that, you guys know the drill. My boy Dino, why don't you lay down some film news for us for this week?
Mhm. So we got some film news. The first one is Robert Eggers' Nosferatu actually finished shooting, so they wrapped
Ooh,
just a couple of hours ago.
hell yeah. Wait, they
Hmm.
wrapped a couple hours ago?
Well, they wrapped filming today.
Damn. Okay, cool.
So I didn't know. I think maybe it was, I don't know if they actually wrapped a couple hours ago, but it was announced that they wrapped filming
A couple hours
like
ago.
an hour ago or something. So
Very
yeah,
cool. I'm super stoked for that.
me too, man. The
Is
cast
there
is phenomenal. Yeah,
stack? Do they have like a preliminary release date, or are they just saying next year?
I think it's just next year. I haven't heard
Okay.
anything. There might be a window where they plan to release it that has been announced, but I don't think so. I think it's just up in the air, but
Uh-huh.
probably late next year is my
Yeah, yeah.
guess.
Makes sense. Yeah, at
Yeah,
least a full year probably from now for them to do all the post-production stuff.
yeah. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Robert Eggers, so I'm so excited.
I am too. I am too. Bill Skarsgård too, as
Hmm.
Count Orlok. Very excited for
Yeah,
that.
it's Bill Skarsgård, Nicholas Hoult, Willem Dafoe, Emma Corrin, Aaron
Hmm.
Taylor Johnson, Lily Rose Depp. So a lot of very
Stacked.
cool names.
Hell yeah. I'm very now. What is so far? We have three Eggers films, correct?
Mhm. The Northman, The Lighthouse, and The
The
Witch.
Witch. What if you had to rank those three? How are you ranking those three movies?
The Lighthouse number one.
Okay, I agree for
Then
me.
it's The Northman, and then The Witch. But I love all of them. How about you?
I think mine might be the same.
Hmm.
But I feel like I want to give The Witch another. I've only seen The Witch one time, like shortly after it came out. So
Hmm.
a part of me kind of wants to give it like another go to really, because I remember watching it and being like waiting for it and waiting for it, and then because I had no idea who Eggers was, I didn't know like what the movie was, but I feel
Hmm.
like now, kind of knowing him a little bit better, I'd like to revisit it for sure.
Yeah, maybe you'll appreciate it more.
I think so.
And we definitely like, even if you want to put it on the list, because I've been meaning to watch it for a while. And even if you
Hell
don't
yeah,
put it on the list, maybe if you watch it, just let me know and then I'll watch it and then we can talk
just
about
chat
it.
about it. Hell yeah,
Yeah, just for a little bit
absolutely.
because I want to watch it too. Did you hear? There's actually some funny news regarding the lighthouse.
Uh-uh.
Did you know that your country, the USA, is giving away free lighthouses to people?
For what reason?
So they think that, well, the lighthouses aren't really that useful anymore because of
Right.
GPS,
Hmm.
but they still want to like
Keep that
have
alive.
them, yeah, keep them alive because they're popular spots for people to take pictures and
Hmm.
they're just very important cultural
Yeah,
buildings.
for
So they're
sure.
giving them away to people to take care of them pretty much.
Interesting. Like
Yeah,
all
for
around the
free.
country.
Yeah, all of them. I
Very
don't know
cool.
how many there are in the US, but what do you say we get one and we just move there, move the
And we can,
podcast?
yeah, we can record in person in the
Yep,
lighthouse. We can have some crazy psychosexual dreams like Robert Pattinson and Defoe, and
exactly. That's the dream. That's what
live happily ever
every man
after.
dreams of. So
I mean, I'm out here in Florida, so we definitely got lighthouses over
Hell
here.
yeah, man. I'm just
We
gonna
definitely
fly
got
over there.
lighthouses.
We'll get one for free and just chill there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. What other cool news we got?
There's one more interesting story, and I'm not sure if you heard about it. I think you did regarding Martin Scorsese.
Okay, this is actually
Yeah.
what it was that I thought of that I mentioned off pod that I could not
Okay.
remember. Yes.
Yeah. So he met with the Pope,
Yes.
and then he announced that he will be making a film about Jesus.
And it is entitled right now Jesus.
It's just Jesus,
Just
which is
Jesus. And did you see who's rumored to be playing Jesus?
no. Is it Leo?
It's Tom Holland.
Wait, Tom Holland? Are you
I
see, I'm
swear to
not
God.
sure if you're kidding right
I
now because
swear, I swear, I swear, I swear. That was the post that I saw. He's in talks. I don't think there's anything um I don't think there's anything like specifically, but it says Tom Holland is in talks to play Jesus in new Martin Scorsese film, Jesus.
interesting. Well, I trust Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Not my first choice because I just would have assumed they would have gone with someone in maybe in their 30s.
Yeah. I wonder if they're doing like a different telling since he's already done a film about like the Last Temptation. So it's like I'm assuming maybe he's doing like a younger like Jesus
Maybe,
or something like that.
maybe. Because I assume it's gonna, because what I thought about, maybe it's gonna be a different version. Like
Hmm.
maybe he's retelling it in a different way. But since he met with the Pope and the Pope had an appeal to artists, I'm not sure what exactly, but I would assume it's gonna be historically accurate.
I would assume so. And I think because Last Temptation of Christ was not historically
Yeah.
accurate, like it was just like, the imaginings of what could have been or whatever,
Mhm.
and is really more metaphor, then I would assume in order to like not make the same film twice, he's probably then going to maybe do a more biographical kind of take on it, or at least I would hope.
Mhm. But it's interesting because he's done one already. So why did he decide he has to make another one?
I don't know. No
I'm
idea.
not sure.
I mean, I'll watch absolutely anything. Like I'll do absolutely anything or watch anything that he makes, but was definitely hoping for
Absolutely.
something different in terms of what the next film was going to be. But I'm still waiting for Kills of the Flower Moon.
Mhm.
So he's going on about Jesus. I still got to see his western already.
Is that going to be his next film, or does he have a project line up after Killers of the Flower Moon and
I I
before
think
Jesus?
I okay. So I felt that there was already something that he had announced maybe a while ago, but from
Mhm.
these reports, what I'm gathering is that this is probably the next one.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
he started writing it right now, so
Could be a
who knows?
while.
We'll see. Yeah, for
Could be a
sure.
while for sure, but at least we get Killers of the Flower Moon this year.
Mhm.
Um, fucking finally,
Finally,
finally.
that's true. But yeah, did you manage to watch anything in
Yeah,
this?
I did. So, well, I finished Succession. The finale was on Sunday.
You
Um,
managed to get through
I
it?
I caught up, and
Hell yeah.
I
So you're
literally,
done.
I'm done. I completed it.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
I
I
think
saw that the finale came out on Sunday, which was two
yes,
days ago.
yes, and I caught up like maybe I finished like season 4, episode 9, maybe like an hour before the finale like started. Like I just got in there.
That's
Um,
crazy. So
but
you
so
watched it
that
live.
I
Well,
did.
not
Well,
live, it
it was like
dropped.
streaming same time, but like
Yeah,
I started it like whatever time that it was like on Max. Um, and yeah, so I was very caught up doing that. Again, I'll stand by it. One of the greatest television series I've ever seen, ever. Really hope that you can check it out sometimes. I would love to talk about it with you.
for sure.
But because I've kind of been having these withdrawals for the last couple days or whatever, I
Mhm.
made a list on Letterboxd, which I'll make public once I kind of add some more movies to it, of kind of like the 6 degrees of succession, where like all the actors, I'm kind of finding like what are sort of the best movies that they're all in individually, like what style, and I realized The Big Short, directed by Adam McKay, who produced Succession. The same guy who does the score of Succession did the score for The Big Short. Both shot on 35 millimeter, both the same style of cinematography. Has Jeremy Strong in The Big Short as well as one of the leads in Succession. So I decided to give The Big Short another watch, which I haven't watched in a long time.
Mhm.
And I forgot how awesome that movie is. That
That's really,
movie is
yeah,
incredible.
very confusing, very confusing.
Very, but they
But
really do a good job of dumbing it down as much as they can.
yeah, especially with those, I think the Margot Robbie scene.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
good. And then they have the one with Anthony Bourdain, who's like explaining the metaphor with the
Yeah.
fish and the fish stew. And it's like, it's a really, I mean, it's just really well made for something to have that much like dense, boring information, but the movie is so entertaining
Mhm.
is very, very impressive. So I was happy to check that out. And if you're a big fan of that, I think you'll like Succession. It's almost like the pre-Succession. Different
Okay.
story, like that was more about the housing, and this and Succession is more about like the media and ultra rich, but same cinematography style, same kind of style of acting, same quality of writing, quality of directing. Like it is very, very similar, the two. Um,
Every week you manage to sell me this show even more
yeah,
because I
I
was,
don't,
I'm already dying to see it, and now I'm just more excited. So
yeah. By next week, who knows what I'll have? Maybe I'll have a chest tattoo or something that's a Succession. Um, but
just
uh,
keeps
but
getting
yeah,
crazier.
I think that's all that I got to check out. Oh, and one other movie I did check out as well that I watched with my girlfriend. We watched the movie The Legends of the Fall. Have you heard of this movie?
Name sounds familiar. It
It's
does
with
ring a bell.
Brad Pitt, is the star. It came out in the 90s. This is the movie that I was named after. Brad Pitt's character's name is Tristan, and that's where my dad first heard the name and came to my
Holy
mom and
shit.
said, we should name him Tristan. And actually
That's
I had
funny
a
because my name is also
yep,
movie related.
yep. Um,
Easy.
but yeah, I was so it's been a long time coming and I've never seen it. Not gonna lie, I did not like it, but but it was good to finally check it out. Um,
To
and
know
funny enough,
where your
I
name came from.
yeah, yeah, and I actually had a roommate who was also named Tristan, and when we talked about our names, come to find out his name also came from the same exact movie as well. So funny coincidence there, but the movie is not very good.
That's funny.
Yeah,
But the guy who made The Last Samurai did it.
it's the same director. Yes, and he did
Yeah.
what he did something else that was like pretty big. What's his name? Neil something?
Edward Zwick.
Edward Zwick. Edward Zwick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He did
he
Love and Other Drugs. Jack
love and
Reacher.
oh, Glory. He did Glory
Yeah. And Blood Diamond.
and Blood Diamond. That's right. That's right. Which
Thing.
I've never seen Blood Diamond actually.
Yeah. He's done a couple things. I'm curious to check that out, even
Yeah,
though
he
you
did
didn't
this.
like it.
It's yeah. I mean, if you want to go check it out, I'm really trying to like reach for like good things about it, and I can't personally. But what I might not like, you might like, and what you might
Mhm.
not like, I might like. So, um, I'm never the type to say don't go out and check out a movie. I'm just saying personally, I did not like it like at all. Um, but uh, but yeah, that was pretty much it that I checked out apart from our film for
Interesting.
this week.
So is there a reason why your friend was also named Tristan? Like, did his dad also like it, or
His uncle had seen it and
okay?
like put in the good word, say like, "Oh, what about Tristan for a name?" When like his parents were thinking of it, and they're like,
Mhm.
"That's not bad." And he's like, "Yeah, Brad Pitt and Legends of the Fall."
Was his uncle the same age as your dad?
I don't know actually.
Because
I don't know. I
maybe
was born. It could be
Yeah.
because my dad definitely saw it like in theaters. I was
Hmm.
born like a year and a half after that movie came out, so it was fresh on his mind. And
Hmm.
my roommate was also born maybe 2 years after. He was just a few months younger than me. Um,
Crazy.
but yeah, yeah. Shout out to Brad Pitt. It's one of those movies where I realized though, I think they got the name. You know those movies where you watch and you're like, you almost get tired of a name when you hear it because every sentence that
Hmm.
every character says, they mention the person's name.
Hmm.
It's like that. Like Tristan, where's Tristan? Oh, Tristan, Tristan, Tristan. And by the end, I'm like, oh my god, I hate my name now. If
Hmm.
I'm like, like that's probably why they thought it's stuck in everyone's head because it's all they say in the movie is Tristan. That's all
Did
they
you get
say.
that? Just that, how should I say it? When you hear your name in a movie, like, do you just
Yeah.
get that, oh shit, someone's calling me?
Yes. The first time it happened, like I think my girlfriend like nudged me. She's like, "Oh my god, Tristan!" And then
Mm.
by like I'm not even exaggerating. By like this 59th time they said Tristan in the film, I was like, "Yeah, I can't. Like, I just can't hear it anymore. I can't do it
Next time, just
anymore."
someone in real life calls your name, you're like, please shut the
Like,
fuck up.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, cool period
Mm.
piece, cool like production design in that movie. I'll give it that. Very cool
Yeah.
production
My
design
name
and stuff.
actually came from James Dean. So my
Right.
mom was like a fan of James Dean, and then she wanted to
Uh-huh.
name me Dean, but my
Hmm.
dad didn't like that. Wanted to name me after her celebrity crush.
Uh-huh.
And so he was like, can we name something more Bosnian because they're from Bosnia?
Yeah.
So there's a popular name, Dino over there. So they just like decided,
Cl-
okay,
Close to Dean.
yeah, both were
That
happy. So
that's
yeah,
that's that's compromise right there.
mhm, for sure.
That's compromise. Well, before we get
I
into the
actually wanted to mention one movie I watched.
oh,
The
you did.
only,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you
So I
did.
watched a movie that we talked about in, I think, the first episode, or like the test episode.
Okay.
We talked about this. I actually managed to watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So
Oh, you
that
did.
Puss in Boots movie,
Oh, I saw
and
you post something about it. Did you like it?
it's, I think it might be my favorite animated movie.
Really?
So it's
So,
tied with Into the Spider-Verse for me, but
okay.
this one is so freaking good. It's one of the best animated movies
For
I think
what
ever.
for what reasons would you say that?
It's super unique.
Okay.
It's very creative. It's also not, sometimes I thought, oh, this is gonna be the direction they're gonna go to. And then they just pull like a 180 and just go completely different from what I expected. So I think it's like very creative in the way they tell the story. It's also, it's beautiful. Like the animation is great. It's so many great colors. The way it's animated, it's similar to Into the Spider-Verse in terms of animation
Hmm.
style, but
Hmm.
it does so many different things. And there's so many cool shots that I just love. And just the voice acting, it's just perfect in every single way. I loved it so much. And if you ever get a chance to watch it, definitely do. I think even someone who isn't like a big fan of the Shrek movies or
Hmm.
animated movies in general, I think is gonna like this.
Like it. So when
Yeah,
you say it's like creative and unique, do you mean that just like style wise or animation wise or like story or like both?
all of it.
All the above.
The story is so great, and like I said, you there are moments where you think, I know exactly where this is going because you've seen it before in so many different movies where it could go so cliche, but they don't. And they go into directions where me and my girlfriend are watching it and we were talking about it, and I was like, I have no clue where this could go
Yeah.
because it could go in so many different directions and they still manage to surprise me, which is really cool. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Was it streaming anywhere? Did you rent it or buy it or how'd you watch it?
I rented it for like, I think it was €2 on
Okay, like
Amazon
a couple
Prime.
bucks, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I wanted to watch it for a while, and
Uh-huh.
then there's some car going outside. I don't know if you heard it, but yeah. Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, because I've heard nothing but good. Like a lot of people really like this movie.
Yeah, we
Um,
talked about it in one of the
yeah,
earlier episodes because the Filmstagram community has been ravening about it ever since it came out. Everyone has been calling it one of the best animated movies, and I can confirm that. So,
hell yeah. I'm super excited. Do I now, because I like Shrek. I haven't seen Shrek in ages. And I remember when we did talk about it on one pod, you told me that there was like three or four Shreks, and my mind was blown, or five Shrek movie. Like there was,
there's four with the
yeah, the
fifth
five.
one potentially coming.
Okay, I remember you telling me that there was a fourth one, and my mind was absolutely
Mhm.
blown because I had absolutely no idea and didn't hear a
Mhm.
damn peep about it. Do I need to see all of them in order to see Puss in Boots? Is it a one-off entirely? What kind of
You,
background info do I need?
you don't need to watch any of the Shrek movies.
Okay.
I would watch the first Puss in Boots because this is the second.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
This is a sequel?
this is a sequel. Yeah.
When did the first one come out? A while ago?
Honestly, I didn't even know before I saw it
Wasn't it
because
a
I
long
also
time ago
saw
a
it
Puss in
recently.
Boots movie?
Come again?
Wasn't there a Puss in Boots movie like a long time ago?
Let me check when it came out. It came out in
Okay.
2011.
I was gonna say it had to have been at like 10 years plus.
Yeah, and this is
Okay.
the second one. I would watch the
So
first one because there is one character that was introduced in the first one that
carries
makes an
over.
appearance.
Okay.
But Shrek-wise, there are some Shrek characters that you probably know, like
Okay.
Pinocchio is in it,
Right. Right.
and what's it called, Gingerbread Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
the little one. Yeah, he's also in it, but just for like a quick cameo, fun scene.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
it. Yeah,
And
but apart from that,
Is
he
Antonio
is
Banderas still voicing?
he is, and he's
Hell
so
yeah.
great. It's so much fun.
Hell yeah. I'm definitely gonna check it out because you are like
Mhm.
the 100th person to tell me like how dope that movie is.
Mhm. Everyone told me, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'm gonna check it out." But they weren't lying. I even said on my story, like, "You guys weren't lying," because this
Is
is
it
truly certified banger.
is it better in your opinion? Because I know you're very hot on this other one.
Mhm.
Is it or not better? Which did you like it more than the Chip and Dale movie that came out like a year ago? Because I know that was like your shit.
Why do you have to do this to me? This is this is too tough. I think Chip and Dale has a very special place in my heart,
Uh-huh.
and I think just because of that, I have to give it to Chip and Dale because
Okay.
it's very special to me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Hell yeah. All
but
right.
yeah.
Well, you were telling me before we started that you had some
Mhm.
something neat, something interesting for the pod today before we get into our main film talk. I'm curious to know what that is.
Yeah, well, because we don't have too much to talk about, we both didn't watch a lot, we didn't have a lot of news, and there's something I just thought that could be fun, because I did this on my story once, and people really liked it, and I thought it was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
So I have two characters for you, well, for us,
Okay. Okay.
and we have to come up with what we think would their letterbox top four be.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's a fictional character, and we have to pretty much come up with their four favorite movies.
Okay. That's
Mhm,
really cool. Okay. Do you have
mhm.
those characters?
I do. Just
Okay.
two of them. We can do this in the future as well if
Yeah.
it's fun, and you can come up with ones as well. There was just two characters I thought about real quick that I think because I let people decide it on my story. I think those
Okay.
were two that just popped into my head. And there's also if those characters are in a specific time period, it doesn't matter if the like there's a film in the future, so they have access to every movie we
Okay.
know
Okay.
except their own, except the one they're
Except
in.
the one that they're in. Okay.
But if they're, let's just say we take Batman, okay, Christian Bale, other movies Christian Bale has appeared in also exist. It's just a doppelganger. So
Okay. Okay. Got it.
just to
Just
put them
not
on proof.
the specific film that in the character
Yeah,
is from. Okay, but everything
exactly.
else fair game, even if the
Everything
actor is
else.
in it. Okay.
Hmm.
All right,
Okay.
hit me with
So
it.
First character is SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, damn.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Let's see.
So what do you think SpongeBob would like?
I think okay, this is hold on. Now I'm like on the spot. Let me
Mhm.
really think here.
So I don't remember my picks either, because for SpongeBob, someone definitely asked, I'm pretty sure, but it's been such a long time. I think it was like 2 years ago that I did it.
I'm starting to like kind of vaguely remember seeing this.
Yeah.
Like it's ringing a weird bell.
Mhm.
Um oh man, this if you have one, if you have the first one at least, or one for
Mhm.
him, definitely go. Because hold on, this is gonna take me a minute to really think of something good.
I feel like he would like The Sound of Music for some
That's
reason.
a good one.
Yeah.
Um okay, you know what the first one that I would put?
Mhm.
And I'm hold on, I'm literally writing these down by hand.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put Good Burger with Keenan Thompson. Are you familiar with Good Burger? I
I
don't know if
am.
this
Yeah, yeah.
okay. I don't know if it really like made waves overseas over there, but over
I
here was a
haven't seen
big
it,
deal
but
when I was growing up.
yeah, definitely
I
seen
could see him being
screenshots.
a fan of that, the whole burger culture kind of thing.
Truly, yeah.
So I'm gonna put that in there.
Mhm. Okay.
Um,
Should we just create them together? So,
yeah. Because I just
okay.
thought of a second one. So if you think of a second one,
Dude, he would like the first half of Midsommar. I feel
the
like the
first
second
half.
one, not so much, but the first half, I feel like
For what reason would he like Midsommar or the first half of Midsommar?
think just the happy vibes they give off
Yeah,
at
that's
the
true. The
beginning,
colors,
the
like the real
colors.
colors.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude,
yeah,
maybe he would
I
even
can see
like the
that.
second half. Maybe SpongeBob is messed up in the head.
I could see Squidward for sure liking the second half for
Oh, for sure.
sure.
Maybe they watch it together and Squidward
Yeah,
sleeps
yeah,
until the second half, and then SpongeBob leaves once the second half starts.
yeah. Exactly. Um, I'm trying to think, and I don't know if this is like a lazy one, but I think
Mhm,
the fourth one, or like my second one, our fourth one, I think it
mhm.
would probably fuck with Finding Nemo.
Oh, going with the underwater team. He would like that,
Yeah, I
I
think he
feel
would
like.
like that. I think he would be like, "This is a wholesome, funny movie." I could see him
Mhm,
and Patrick giggling about that one for sure.
definitely. Okay, we have
So we
SpongeBob's
have
top
we
four.
have Sound of Music, Good Burger, Finding Nemo, and Midsommar for SpongeBob. Honestly, pretty fitting.
Dude, if I saw that on Letterboxd, I would follow that person.
I would too. That's a solid mix of
Interesting.
movies.
Yeah.
And
And
who's
then
the
I
other
have
character?
the second character, which is Patrick Bateman.
Oh, Patrick Bateman. Okay, I thought you
Patrick
were gonna go
Bateman.
Patrick Star for a sec. Okay,
Mm,
Patrick Bateman.
that'd be too easy. Too easy.
Yeah.
No, no.
Okay.
You want to
Well,
go first with this one?
I have one off the top, but this one also seems easy. Like I want to really think of a good one,
Hmm.
so I don't know if I want to name it. Um,
Hmm.
but for the sake of time, I guess I just will. I think he'd be a huge fan of Taxi Driver.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I think
You
he
would
would just
love
very
that.
obviously love that movie.
Hmm. That's a good one. I actually have to
New.
think because I didn't put too much thought about like into it because I wanted us to come up with it.
Hmm. I'm trying to think what.
Dude, he would love Tarzan, the original one, just because of the Phil Collins soundtrack.
He would. He would love that soundtrack.
100%.
Yeah, he would for sure love that. Um,
Pretty much any movie where Paul Allen's doppelganger Jared Leto dies. What's a
that's
movie where
true.
Jared Leto dies?
Does he die? Um,
Doesn't
does he?
he gets beat up in Fight Club? So if
He
we
gets
don't
beat
find
up.
one where he dies, that's the one we take.
Does he die uh in Panic Room? Have you seen Panic Room?
I haven't.
He's got like the cornrows and shit in his hair.
Hmm.
It's good Jared Leto like era, a cornrow
Hmm.
Jared. Um, I think he might, spoiler alert, maybe die in that movie, but I don't know for sure
Mhm.
actually. Um,
Just need one where he gets just brutally murdered or beat
let's see.
up.
Movies where Jared Leto dies. I wonder how
There's
many people
definitely a
have Googled
letterbox list.
this.
S- Someone definitely made a letterbox list for Jared Leto death movies.
Oh, yes. I guess spoiler alert, but yes, he does die in Panic Room.
We'll take that one.
We'll take that one. He also dies in The Thin Red Line. I forgot he was even in that movie.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
one more.
so one more. It's got to be something else, like in that kind of vein, but I think it's got to be something like dirtier, like something like Human Centipede. I could see him
Oh,
fucking with the Human Centipede.
definitely.
Yeah.
Like the house that Jack built.
Yes. Like, which I
Yeah.
have not seen. I've not seen that movie.
I'm, you know, I don't hate movies,
Oh,
but fuck that movie. Honestly,
really?
it's it put me in such a bad mood. It's I don't know what Lars von Trier is thinking.
I'm okay. So I'm curious. I'm curious to know without spoiling, because
Hmm.
this movie has been recommended to me mostly by like the horror like friends of like the ones who are like real horror people. They're like, you
Hmm.
have to see the house that Jack built.
Hmm.
Now, the thing that pissed you off, is it just the violence of it, or is the whole movie just truly just kind of like smut? Like, is it just
There's no point to it. I feel like it's very much just I understand, but it's so much violence where I feel like just for the sake of it,
mm-hmm,
like so many scenes that are unnecessary. You can just it's so brutal, man. And honestly, it put me in such a bad mood. And I'm not a person who tells people like don't watch that movie. I
right?
always tell people, hey, watch it. Maybe you like it.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone, and I understand that there's stuff for people here, but those people should be put on a FBI watch list, in my opinion. So I'm just
I'm
joking, but I really
I'm not
don't like the movie.
I'm not gonna lie, you maybe made me even more interested to check it out now just to see what it is that affected you.
Honestly, do it, but I'm never gonna watch it again.
Interesting.
It's
Are
just
you
it's too messed up for me. Like,
really? Is it one of the
yeah,
most like messed up things you've seen, like movie wise?
that I've seen for sure. And people are probably gonna be like, oh, that's nothing because there's even crazier movies
Right.
that I've also heard about, never seen, but I don't know, this movie is I don't really like seeing, you know, kids get killed and things like that. So and just people in
Yeah,
general. But
that's understandable. I It's funny
mhm,
because I just pulled it up on Letterbox.
mhm.
Um, I love that when you look through the cast of Letterbox, the one name that you see towards the bottom is Adolf Hitler.
He's in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's
um,
definitely in it for
he's
sure. It wouldn't be a Lars von Trier movie without
well,
him.
okay. So one thing I want to ask before we get to our fourth movie of the Patrick
Mhm,
Bateman, are you familiar with Lars? I have never seen, because I'm very turned off by him as a person and by
yeah.
his whole vibe. So I refuse to really get into any of his movies because I feel like I have to be in a very specific state of mind and
Mhm.
mood and everything. Are you familiar with his other films? Have you seen any of his others?
I haven't seen too many because he is a menace to society.
He's a menace.
I'll really like his cousin, Joachim Trier.
Whoa, they're related?
That's his cousin, yeah.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
And I'm honestly just gonna watch a Joachim Trier movie instead of
Yeah.
a Lars von Trier.
Hell yeah. Wow, that's dope. I did not know
Mhm.
that they is Lars von is he Danish? I
He's
know
Danish, I
Johan
think.
is. Okay, okay.
Yeah. I
Cool.
actually got a Joachim Trier movie in my list, so
Do you?
maybe we'll watch it
Okay. Well, I hope we
soon.
pull it up today at the end
Mhm.
of the app. Okay, so four. Okay, now off the Lars von Trier
Mhm.
tangent. What's the fourth Patrick Bateman film in his top four on Letterboxd?
Don't we have four?
I think I started that one. Taxi Driver, Human Centipede. You said
Tarzan
Tarzan, and then
and well, the house that Jack built, or well, oh yeah,
I think you just said that because I was like something messed up like Human Centipede. But I
yeah.
think that could be a good fourth pick. I haven't seen it,
No,
but
the
it
one
seems.
where Jared Leto dies.
Oh, that's right. Panic
Yep.
Room. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's right. Wherever he dies. That's right. Okay. That was super fun. You know what could be cool?
Hmm.
If and I don't know if I should even be saying this on the pod, folks. We might want to keep it a secret, but we can always cut this out. We should for each movie that we pick each week, we should come up with the top four for like the main character of that film.
That's what I wanted to ask you because I had a third person, I didn't third
Okay.
character, and it
Okay.
was the main character of this movie.
Okay. Well,
So
then
I
you know
actually
what?
wanted to ask that in the end.
Let's go ahead. Let's talk about the movie, and then
Hmm.
by the end of it, once our brain, the juices are kind of flowing, let's think of the top four for either
Perfect.
Addie or for Mose
Hmm.
for this movie for Paper Moon.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, this week's movie, we are talking about one of my all-time favorites. One of the movies that was a part of my list of recommendations for the pod, and that is Peter Bogdanovich's 1973 masterpiece, Paper Moon, starring father and daughter combo, Ryan and Tatum O'Neal, also starring Madeline Kahn, and really just a fantastic, fantastic movie. Dino, I know this was a first time watch for you. Is that correct?
First time, yes.
First time watch. All right. Well, why don't you say I go ahead and get into the quick plot summary real quick, and then
Hmm.
we'll get to talk about it some more. And folks, you know the drill. If you haven't seen it, you don't want it to be spoiled. Go ahead and pause it right here. Go watch it. Come back, or if not, keep on listening. But Paper Moon takes place in Kansas in the mid 1930s. We open on a very small funeral where a young man played by Ryan O'Neal, goes by the name of Moses Prey, shows up. It is there that he meets Addie, who is just a young 9-year-old girl whose the funeral is for her mother who has just died, and she doesn't have any other family there to take care of her. The people at the funeral ask Ryan or ask Mose if he can take Addie to go see her aunt, take her by train or whatever. Um, he agrees to do it. On the road, Addie learns that Mose is quite the con man. He's just straight finessing any which way he can, whether it be finding obituaries in the paper and then going to profit on the grieving widows who are alone in the homes, or maybe he's doing tricks with getting change at cash registers, or whatever it is he's doing. He's always just finessing. And Addie the whole time seems to think that perhaps Mose might be her father, just because Mose met her mom in a bar room. Um, but the two of them continue on the road together, and as they continue on, Addie proves to have also quite quite a sense for finessing as well. It seems that they really are two peas in a pod, and they kind of get into a lot of different situations while they're on the road. And the film really is just a road film. He's trying to take her to her aunt's house. He tries dropping her off at a train depot. That ends up not working, so he ends up taking her himself. But pretty much they just get into a whole bunch of different hijinks. I don't really want to spoil it because I want to get into each of the specific details, but that's pretty much the general synopsis of this movie. We can get into some of the spoilers as we go on, but before we do that, Dino, I'm really curious to know what your thoughts were for this first time viewing of Paper Moon.
Well, this was one of my favorite films from your recommendation list so far. So it's up there with
Awesome.
Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, which I think was my favorite one. this is right there.
Hell
It was
yes.
it was such a great film. I seriously love this film. I can't wait to watch it again because I
Yes.
think I'm gonna like it even more now that
Hmm.
I've seen it once. So many great scenes, so many great performances. I mean, she she did, got an Oscar for that role, right?
Yes, she is the youngest Oscar winner in history.
Hell yeah, deservingly so. It's so much fun, so much fun, and I
Awesome.
can't wait to talk more about scenes that I liked.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm glad you liked it. This is, like I said, one of my favorites. Are you familiar with Peter Bogdanovich at all prior to this movie?
Not really, except for the things we talked about in last week's episode.
Hmm.
So about him, he was how did he start?
So he started off with
Roger
making a film
Corman,
for
right?
Roger Corman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Hmm. Called Targets. Then he kind of got his groove, particularly when he made his first. Well, it wasn't his first feature, but his first big one, which was called The Last Picture Show, which I'm
Hmm.
sure you've probably have at least heard of if you
Hmm.
haven't seen it. That's also a fantastic, fantastic movie. Um, but
Have you seen most of his films?
from the 70s, I've seen all of them, I think. Like the first half of his career, I've seen most.
Hmm.
Not so much like later on. Um, but for sure. And when he passed away about a year or two ago, I went kind of on another, like kind of
Hmm.
checking out all the ones that I sort of missed along the way.
Yeah.
But Paper Moon still, I would say, is probably my number one film of his. Um, and just really, really, really great, great movie.
Hard to
Um,
beat that one.
yeah, it's hard to
Imagine.
beat.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm just yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to know kind of what did you sort of expect the movie? Did you have any kind of any pre expectations about what you thought the movie was going to be prior?
Not at all. Like last week's episode, you guys mentioned a little bit.
Hmm.
You told me just a little bit about it. I didn't read the synopsis. I only knew the poster even
Hmm.
before last week's episode. I've seen it before and I always wanted to watch it just because of that poster alone.
Great poster.
Such a great poster. Didn't know anything, went in blind, and then you can pretty much guess where it's gonna go in the beginning.
Hmm.
But it's so beautiful and it's such a cool story. The relationship between those two, and you can definitely I'm not saying you can tell that they're father and daughter,
Hmm.
but they have this chemistry, this such cool chemistry. That is because they're probably related, but doesn't have to be because of it. They could have just been two actors, but yeah, the chemistry really stood out, and just the clever. I like the clever ways how they scam people, which
Yes.
we'll talk about more
Yes.
because I have a couple favorite scenes. But just the whole vibe, it's kind of wholesome in
Very
the end.
wholesome. It's
Hmm.
very wholesome. And you mentioned some of their tricks and whatnot. I guess I'd like to get in on that.
Hmm.
I mean, because almost right away, you see him already pulling tricks. Right when he gets out of the car, he's literally already steals a bouquet from a different grave to drop
Hmm.
into this one.
Yeah,
Um,
which perfectly encapsulates
within
his character.
within seconds of seeing
Hmm.
him and without him saying a word, you already know like who this guy is.
Hmm.
And it's so good. And one of his early after that, like one of his other early kind of finesses is when he gets Addie in the car and he takes her to the train station. He stops at the house of the person who I think his brother was responsible for the death of Addie's mom.
Hmm. He was
And
drunk driving, I think, like the
yeah, he
brother.
is exactly. He essentially sort of guilts also slash con slash blackmails him
Hmm.
into giving him $200.
Hmm.
But it's funny because you get that you see that Addie's listening, and
Hmm.
she right off the bat, and I love that there's never a part where she is being taken advantage of. Like there is never a point of that she where she is always always just as like tuned in
Hmm.
as Mose is. She's not. she's maybe not showing it or doing it, but she's always there, and she's never going to be taken advantage of, because when he tries to get rid of her at the train stop, she immediately asks, "Where's my $200?"
Mhm. Which is my favorite scene, I think,
Yes,
in the whole movie where they're sitting in that diner and she just screams
so
like,
good.
"Give me my two, you owe me $200." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Keep it down, please." Everyone is like looking at them.
Yes.
She doesn't stop. She just screams like, "Give me my $200."
Yeah. I got you a knee high in a Coney Island.
Hmm. Such a great scene.
It's a
And
great
she's
scene.
very much in control.
Oh yeah. I love in
Mhm.
that scene too, if you notice when Ryan O'Neal, he's pouring the sugar in his coffee and he just never
Yeah,
stops. Like it just
that's what I
completely
wrote
pours
down
out. Yeah.
in my notes. I That was so funny. Like I
So
was like,
funny.
how much sugar is he gonna? And he drank it. I was like, no way he's
Yeah.
gonna drink it.
And then he
Because
puts more in
yeah,
afterwards.
he tries to take a sip, but then he tells her something and he puts it down again. I was like, oh, like they're gonna
Yeah.
cut to a different angle and he's not gonna drink it. But then he actually drinks it, puts more, and I was like, what the hell?
I love that about this movie, is that there is a lot of like little subtle things.
Hmm.
Like if you're really watching, there's a lot of little subtle, like good visual kind of physical
Hmm.
sort of comedy things.
Hmm.
And that's like just like the type of comedy I like. I like things that are real, kind of physical, or a lot of not necessarily even just jokes, but the way that people do things. Um,
Yeah, and that gives it a rewatchability because every time you watch it, you notice different things. Because the one where he picks up the flower from a different grave, I didn't even notice that.
yeah.
The next time I watch it, I'll definitely
Oh
keep
yeah.
an eye out.
There is definitely a lot. Like this is a very dense film, and I think a reason for that is that Bogdanovich is a big fan of Orson Welles, and has
Mhm,
cited it. And Orson Welles kind of gave Bogdanovich and also the DP Laszlo Kovacs some advice for shooting this
mhm,
film. And if you notice, Bogdanovich does a lot of like that deep focus cinematography that like you see in Citizen Kane, where it's like there might be a window and you can see what's happening perfectly clear, like
mhm,
outside, way back. And it's the same thing in Paper Moon, where Bogdanovich has everything in focus so that he
mhm,
can literally fill the entire screen with comedy. Like he can throw in something over here and something over here and something in the background and something right here, and it's all in focus.
mhm,
And it warrants kind of multiple viewings. So that way, when you go back and you watch it a second, third, fourth, however many times in your life that you may revisit it, you
mhm,
will almost always see something different, whether it's funny or sometimes you even see something that's kind of like sad in the
mhm,
background. It's like, damn, that was, I did not catch that before.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, there's definitely a lot to see in this movie upon rewatches for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I'm
Did you have
curious,
a favorite scene?
a favorite scene.
Mhm. Like your favorite moment, favorite
So
joke?
I really I like all the sequences when they go do the Bibles. And
Mhm,
I love the one where Addie steps out of the car. Like I love that she steps in when she realizes that Mose might get caught.
mhm,
Like the first time is by the cop, and she runs out and she pretty much saves the day.
mhm,
But my favorite is when they go to some woman's house, and Addie's the one who looks around and notices that she's like super rich,
mhm,
and they're selling each Bible for like $12, I think. And she's like, "This one will be 40 or something like that." And she's like, "It's
mhm,
$40 or $24 or something like that."
mhm,
Um, and just completely like doubles or triples the price, however much it is. And I just love that scene. And there's a funny review on Letterboxd. I don't know if you saw it. It was one of the popular ones, or one of the top reviews or whatever. Um, that was like the fact that she sold a Bible for like $25 in the 1930s means that she essentially sold it for like $500 like today.
mhm.
And like that just makes me laugh so hard. It's like, wow, that's really kind of crazy to think about.
I saw that. Puts it in perspective, like how much that was back then.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I think a Bible was it like 6 or 7, and they had a $1 deposit.
That's what it
And
was. And then that's what it was. I think the first one where she hyped it up was like, it's $12
yeah, and then
or
she goes to
something.
like 25 or something,
24. So yeah,
and the
yeah,
woman
that's
is
it.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the money and I'm gonna give you
An extra
$5 just
five.
for coming to my house. Yeah, so great.
Which I'm assuming that five probably would be like $30 today, maybe,
That's
or something
crazy.
like that. Like a decent like finder's fee for young
Mhm.
Addie. Um, but yeah, well, I'm curious to know what is your favorite scheme or scam of
Mhm.
the two of them?
I think the Bible, like the Bible scam, because that was
Hmm.
very messed up,
Yeah.
very messed up. But I also found it very funny because just a couple of days ago, I just randomly, like, I was just on, I think it was Instagram Reels or
Hmm.
something like that. And there was a video of someone just explaining different types of scams for cashiers, just so they're aware how people try to
Right.
scam. And a lot of them were in this movie, which
Really?
which I found interesting. There was the one where they write something. One person goes to the
Yes.
counter and writes something on the $20 bill.
Yep.
They put it down upside down. They pay with it. And the other person comes, pays with like 5 or 10, and then they're like, "Hey, I gave you more." As soon as they close the counter, and
uh,
they're like, "Oh yeah, I gave you $20 bill with this and this written on it." And then they check and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." They think they like their mind
yeah.
played a trick on them. So that's one people actually do still these days.
That's funny because that is a great scene.
Yeah. And another one where they tried, I don't know how exactly they do it, but they pay with something and then you get the return like, oh no, I have it. Like I have a 10. Can you give me
Yeah.
that back? And then something like that. So that's something people also do.
That's funny. I love that those two scenes where they do it, where like the whole change thing.
Hmm.
Um, which it's funny if you can find it. The director's commentary that Bogdanovich does for this movie is really, really good.
Hmm.
And maybe like one of my favorites, like because he just goes really in depth to everything. But it's funny because he's like, none of us had absolutely any idea. He's like, Ryan is like out there acting, has absolutely no idea how any of it works. Like, but
Hmm.
he's like, I got five. Oh, actually, can you make change for the 10? You hold the five. I'll take the five once. And he looks through it. You know what? Let me get that five back. And here you go. Here's a five or whatever. And I think
Hmm.
if you really study it, it might not even make sense. Like, if you actually studied it perfectly, that scene, it might not make sense at all. Like, the whole, did he even come up?
That's
But
why it was so hard for me to explain because I was watching and I was so confused. If I were the
yeah.
cashier, I wouldn't have like they could have scammed me. I had no clue what was happening.
I just
Yeah.
love the idea that they just come out of no like that's the whole scamming thing too. Like it's
Mhm.
you have absolutely just no idea that it's even happening to
Mhm.
you in that moment, especially with those when they're just talking so fast
Yeah.
and he's distracting her by talking about whatever normal stuff in their life.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just really, really just a neat movie. Um,
Mhm.
I will
Very
say
clever
another
as well with the
very
scams.
clever. Oh yeah. Another which I want to hear your thoughts on this sequence is after Mose picks up Trixie, the old prostitute from like that sideshow circus or whatever it is that he picks her up from.
Mhm.
When I really like the scenes with Addie and the one girl who works as like that girl's servant.
Yeah.
Um, really everything that they're in, but particularly when they pull off their little scheme together on
Mhm.
Mose.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see him be the subject of a scam, even though it is kind of sad and they do feel bad for him
Mhm.
for doing it. They just do it because it's what's best for him. But I'm curious to know what you thought about that scene because I always love watching that entire sequence with the two of them kind of
Mhm.
interacting.
I like that because it just shifted the focus on them and also the girl who worked for Trixie had
Hmm.
a very sad backstory.
Yeah.
I like that they like tackled that because she ran away from home trying to make a few bucks working with
Hmm.
Trixie. Trixie never gave her enough money,
Yeah.
even to the point where she doesn't even have enough money to get back home to her family.
Hmm.
Just super sad. And then in the end, she gets a little bit like Eddie gives her some
Gives her
money.
enough to take the train back.
Yeah, to get home, which is wholesome and very cool of her. And just the way they planned it and executed their plan, it
Hmm.
was so cool because it's not a quick scam. I think it goes over 2 days, and they
Yeah.
they prepare a lot for it
Oh yeah.
with
It's
the. Mhm,
it feels more of like it's not a heist, but it feels more like that type of thing. Like instead of
mhm,
just being scammers, it's almost like it took a turn. It's like a sort of heist movie sort of vibe there
mhm.
for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I love that. That was so cool.
Yeah. And that dude working the counter, that front desk is very funny.
Hmm.
He's in like Blazing Saddles and some other stuff, I think from like Mel
Hmm.
Brooks. But yeah, I really, really love that scene. Um but after old Mose and Addie split up from Trixie, they sort of start to get into a little bit of actual real serious trouble.
Hmm.
Um, when Mose tries to pull off one of his more in-depth schemes and scams when they try to sell a bootlegger his own bootleg supply of whiskey.
Hmm.
Um, this is a really tense sequence. I
Yeah,
don't know if you felt it, but like this was like kind of anxiety inducing watching it.
it was very different from the rest of the film
Yeah.
because before they never faced actual consequences because they always got
Hmm.
away. But then
Yeah.
with this scam, you really felt it like, oh, this could end here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's
how are they gonna get out of the situation?
yeah. I always thought it was so funny too that when that even when they're getting it out, like they get the boxes out that are hidden bootleg, but on the box it is just labeled in huge letters like whiskey, whiskey. It's like that what he's has to be like the worst bootlegger on the planet to have his bootleg
Mhm.
whiskey labeled as whiskey.
Yeah. And that's because alcohol was illegal in the US during that time, right?
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yes.
Okay.
So there was a lot of people, particularly like in the South kind of area, all throughout, but I think it was mostly prevalent in the South,
Hmm.
um, which this kind of takes place, Kansas, sort of Midwest, but sort of Southern.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people would run, they would make their own, some people.
Hmm.
That's where, like, if you've heard of moonshine, that's
China.
how moonshine was created,
Hmm.
in like Tennessee area.
Hmm.
And, but yeah, it was illegal for a long time. And I mean, it was a big market. It's essentially kind of like what like marijuana is in the United States now.
Hmm.
Although that's more legal now, but in the States where it's not, it's like a lot of the underground kind of buying it from this guy or that guy. But
Hmm.
it'll be looked back as the same as alcohol in probably 20 years. But
Hmm.
yeah, this scene, you're right. It really does feel different though. And I think it's cool because it shows Bogdanovich is very he can direct all genres. And I
Hmm.
think this movie he actually pulls off almost every genre in it. I think the majority is kind of a comedy, but when
Hmm.
he with this sequence there's like drama with
Hmm.
the whole scene with Trixie and her like that
Yeah.
girl like that's just kind of pure drama. There's obviously comedy. It's a road movie. And then with
Action.
this last sequence is like straight action, straight thriller, like suspenseful kind of like thrills. Like it really kind of has everything except horror. Like it really has like almost everything in it.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and I like that scene is in it because I think it really kind of encapsulates all that.
Mhm. And the car chase scene was insane.
Insane. Which one thing that I want to mention from Bogdanovich's commentary. I don't know if
Hmm.
you caught when they drive away with the whiskey and Addie is like sitting on top of the boxes.
Almost falls off.
That's 100% real. Like that was like holy shit. Like she almost just like fell off and died.
It
But
looked
that
real.
100% happened. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's gonna fall, but somehow it didn't.
I don't know how.
Mhm.
Um,
Very
but
dangerous.
very, very dangerous. Um,
Did she
and one,
smoke real cigarettes for this?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. Because I was trying
Mhm.
to remember that because I didn't get to rewatch the commentary for this one and I haven't seen it in like a year. But I'm almost positive that those were real cigarettes.
Which
Um,
different time back then?
oh no, okay, no,
Cigarettes.
I
Yeah.
take it back. I take it back actually.
Mhm.
Um, it was lettuce, like lettuce inside, and it actually
Okay.
made her really sick. I thought it was like because she was smoking so much tobacco, she was like getting sick, but it's actually because it was she was smoking lettuce that like made
Okay.
her really sick.
That's good because I saw a review saying like how funny it is that we have it like actual footage of his like her dad giving her actual cigarettes,
Yeah.
which is crazy, but it was
um,
lettuce.
yeah. The Another great scene which I want to talk about is after um they kind of get away, but then they get caught and they get taken into a little jail,
Mhm.
and they're looking for the money in all of their belongings. And you realize in that moment that Addie is actually the smartest person in that room.
Mhm.
And you see her kind of scratching herself like this. And it
Yep,
zooms up, and you see Ben Franklin looking for the $100 bill through her hat.
which was so
Uh,
cool
how great was that scene?
because they zoom into it and you just see his face.
So good.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, this movie, like, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, there really is so much just awesome, awesome stuff happening, like on all levels. Is there anything else that really stood out to you specifically about this movie?
Well, the scenes you mentioned, all of them were so great. There's one thing I wanted to ask you because you've heard it, like the commentary. There's
Hmm.
one scene where they walk on a road and there's a like a random, I think it was a wiener dog just sprinting behind them. Did you catch that?
I'm trying to remember that scene.
It was, I think, after they did the scam with the $20 bill, which had something written on it. They walk on a
I Yeah, I don't remember.
sidewalk. There's just like randomly behind them where they came from. Like a dog just sprints behind them across the street, no owner in sight, nothing. And I thought that was just, I would like to know if maybe he just snuck on set and just ran, or maybe it's someone's dog.
I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna look that up because I can't even remember that. I don't know if I've ever even caught that.
Mhm.
To be
I think
honest,
it's a wiener dog, but I'm not sure. I noticed it because my girlfriend has a wiener dog and I thought it was funny, but I would
I'm
like to know
gonna
the story behind it.
I'm gonna look it up for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely gonna look it up to see because I don't remember that at all. But that's kind of a testament to what we were saying about this movie, that
You notice
you can
something
watch
every
it a
time.
bunch of times. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, which, for the record, by the way, that I'm looking kind of at, like I just pulled up the Wikipedia for the plot.
Mhm.
We are recording this, well, not exactly, but 3 weeks after the 50-year anniversary of its release. 3 weeks to the day. It came out
Hell yeah.
May 9th, 1973. Um,
Awesome. Okay.
so almost there for the 50-year anniversary, sort um, of this awesome movie. But yeah, to close it out anyway for the plot, they kind of he drops her off at the aunt's house, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I love that shot. I mean, were you expecting her to kind of start running back or to come back, or did you think he was going to turn around, or did you think the movie was just going to end there?
I thought he would turn around, go to the house and pick her back up. I didn't expect her to come running from
Yeah,
that hill towards him. Which also the ending scene is perfect. It's so great.
so
Where
good.
they talk and then the car like goes
Starts
downhill
rolling away.
and she's like the car and he's like start running and he just puts the stuff in and they get in and
So
just
good.
drive off. So good. So
That's the
cool.
perfect way to end this
Mhm.
movie for
Yeah,
sure. Um, but I mean, that's pretty much Paper Moon.
mhm.
An all timer. I'm glad it seems like you really enjoyed it.
I did. And would you ever want to see this film remade? Because I'm asking this because the what's his name again? Who plays Moses?
Oh, Ryan O'Neal.
Ryan O'Neal. He reminded me in this film of an actor we both know, like a lot. And I just kept thinking he looks and acts like him. Do you have that's why I wanted to ask you, do you have someone who would who would who you cast if this movie
Hmm.
were ever to be remade, you probably don't want it to be remade, right?
I mean, ideally, I would not like to see it remade
Mhm.
like straight up, but
Yep.
like some kind of reinterpretation, I'm always down for. Like if you want to reinterpret or reimagine, you know. But
Mhm.
I'm really now I'm just kind of thinking about who you might be inferring
Mhm.
to that
Is
is
there a
similar to Ryan O'Neal.
person you think?
I mean, I am, but no one that's like just like like a absolutely perfect
Mhm.
match that I can't think of. Who is it that you think he reminds you of?
Ryan Reynolds. He
Totally. I
looks
can
very
totally see that.
similar to him, and just his mannerism, the way he just talks and cracks jokes, he
I can
reminded me a
totally
lot.
see that.
And sometimes I was like, is this like, did Ryan Reynolds just go back in time and play him? And I was, even his name is Ryan. So, but yeah, next time you
That's
watch it,
huh. Because I just clicked on like a photo of his now to sort of because I was just like looking at it to see like who pops in my head. I can definitely see that, and personality wise, for sure.
yeah, personality wise, if they were to remake it, Ryan Reynolds is right there.
I agree. Actually, I think that's a fantastic choice.
Mhm.
Um, and in keeping with kind of what we were mentioning earlier,
Mhm.
if you think that Ryan O'Neal or Mose Prey had a letterboxed, what do you think would be in his top four?
That's so we go with every movie doesn't have to play. Like he has access to every single film, right?
Just like before anything except this movie.
Okay. Interesting. Hmm. I'm just going randomly through my letterbox. There's one that I thought of earlier, which
Hmm.
I think he would love, and that is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is also one of my
Mm.
favorites. When you
Which I
watch
saw.
it,
Yeah, still
you'll
have not seen.
understand what I mean. I
Okay.
think this just fits his personality perfectly.
Okay.
So I think he would love that one. It even came out before, well, the movie, but not where it's set.
Butch Cassidy.
Yeah,
Butch
that's the first
Cassidy.
one.
Okay. I think for my first one, the one that I thought of earlier is the movie Pickpocket, by Robert Bresson. Are you familiar with that movie?
I am not.
Um, very, very good film, but it's all about these guys who just go around and pickpocket, and it's very much focused on the actual art. Like almost every shot is like just hands.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of like a French art house sort of film, but I could definitely see him being a fan of that movie for sure.
For
Which
sure, yeah.
we gotta watch that at some point, or at least discuss it at some point. That movie, you would
I
very much like that.
added it to the watch list.
Hell
It
yeah.
looks great. Hmm. What else? Have you seen Bicycle Thieves?
I have seen Bicycle Thieves.
I haven't. Would that be something he would like just by the name alone? Because that came into
Mm.
my mind. I've yet to
On,
see it.
Honestly, because it's about a father and a son, so there is another great child performance in it. I could
Hmm.
definitely see that. It's a lot more wholesome, and he's a much better, like he's a good father, as opposed to
Hmm.
like Ryan O'Neal in this
Okay.
probably is her dad, but he like refuses to acknowledge that.
Hmm. Do they
Um,
steal bikes in that movie? Or is it just
yeah, like I think it was his bike, like the father's bike that was stolen,
huh?
but he needed it to like get to work or something like that. So they
Hmm.
try to get the bike back, so that way he can like get to the job interview. I don't really remember. It's been a long
Okay.
time, but something like that.
Okay. Maybe not then. Maybe you'd
Um,
like an Ocean's movie.
that's what's my fourth one, Ocean's 11. I could totally
Okay.
see him being into that,
Hmm.
or like another good heist movie of some kind.
Yeah. But I can't think of another one
Have you seen
that
Rafifi, that French heist movie?
I haven't.
That's a really good one.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to think of what about for Addie? And did you think of any for her that she might like? I feel like they might kind of like the same stuff, but
Probably.
You know what? I think she would to go to call back to one of the an early films of this pod. I think she
Mhm.
would be a big fan of the 400 Blows.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
great connection. She would love that film.
I think she would really like that movie. I think she would relate a lot to Antoine, perhaps the
Mhm.
young boy from the 400 Blows.
Yeah. Now You See Me, maybe.
Oh, that's a good one.
If she likes
That's a good
magic.
one for sure. Or something like what was it? Was it 21 or one like where it was about like the card?
21. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like something
Great
like
film.
that for sure. I could
Mhm.
definitely see them
Yeah.
being into.
True. Mhm.
Well, we got a lot of. I really like this new
Mhm.
segment that we got for sure. But let's not forget our oldest segment yet. If and let's do this for two because they're equal parts. I think
Yep.
leads
Mhm.
on a scale of 1 to 10 Bibles. How
Mhm.
much is Moe's literally you?
I want to give him a 0,
Yeah,
but I'll give him a 1 just for, well, I'll give him a 0, actually.
yeah, yeah,
He's not like me at all. I don't want to be him.
yeah,
He's charming. I
yeah.
like him, but yeah, not me. How about you?
I would probably give it a one.
Mhm.
Um, I appreciate his the thing that I appreciate or admire is not necessarily how he finesses, but his dedication to it, his
Yeah.
persistence. I can very
Mhm.
much appreciate that. So I can give him one Bible
He'll
for
get
that.
0.5 for me just because
Yeah,
what you said. Because
for
0 is a
sure.
little bit. He deserves just a
A
little
little
bit.
something, a little
Yeah.
something. And then on a scale of 1 to 10 paper moons, how
Mhm.
much is Addie Prey literally you?
I'll give her 3,
Hmm.
a bit more than him. I feel for her,
Yeah,
and she's alone. Just wants someone to. Well, she wants her father. Just wants someone to like her and want her because she lost her mom. So yeah, a little bit.
yeah. I think I think I can agree too that it's a little bit more because she is a finesser as
Mhm.
well. But you even see in that one scene when he goes and he tries to sell the Bible to that one woman, and you see that
Mhm.
she has like 7 kids, and she's
Yeah,
like, no, 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 this one's already paid for, remember?
for free. Yeah,
And she like so she kind of does have a heart, and you see that
true.
she really is only finessing like the rich woman, like you know what I mean,
Yep.
or like the cop or something like that. Not, I mean, I guess in the store she is kind of messing with some just normal people, but you see that she at least has some kind of empathy for others. So I think I would agree, maybe like a three, maybe a four, even.
Yeah.
Um, and I really one scene that I did forget to mention that I really love.
Mhm.
It's or one moment rather. It's in that scene where they're in the diner, like in the beginning,
Mhm.
or the cafe or whatever. And I love the one where he's like, "Are you my dad?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Where'd you meet my mom?" She's like, "In a bar room." He's like, "Then you have to be my dad." And he's like, "Just
Mhm.
because I met your mom in a bar doesn't mean that I'm your dad." And she goes, "Sometimes it does." I
Mhm.
just love like that back and forth. It's super funny.
Yeah. There's another scene I wanted to mention, which was very sad, where she took the picture and she told the guy she'd come back with her dad to take another picture,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want to, so she goes back and to get the picture, and he's like, didn't you want to come back with your dad? And she was like, no. And that was very
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And I like that in the poster, she
Hmm.
actually eventually got that
Does.
picture. Yeah.
And
Sad.
it's funny the title of the film, um, or I should say that scene in the film was only thrown in there so that way they could use the title Paper Moon.
Oh,
Um, because it was Peter Bogdanovich was thinking of like a name for the film, and
mhm,
he was listening to that song that
mhm.
opens the film. I think it's called
Paper Moon.
Paper Moon.
Mhm,
Um, and bringing up bringing up Orson Welles again, Bogdanovich told Orson Welles like, "Yeah, I have this movie idea or this name for a movie called Paper Moon." He goes, "That's the greatest movie name of all time. You have to
mhm.
do it." So in order to use it and convince the studios, he wrote that scene in there. But
Good way to.
yeah, it ended up being a great scene.
Mhm.
Well, we're at that time again where it's time to go ahead and pick next week's film.
Mhm.
This week was from my list, Paper Moon, which means this coming week we get to go through my boys' list of suggestions. For those who are new to the pod, Dino is going to spin a random number generator. We have each contributed 20 movies that were always changing to the
Mhm.
pod. And whatever number that lands on is the number that we're going for in that particular person's list. So let me go ahead and make sure I have your list up here,
Mhm.
Dino. And
I'll spin the generator and we'll see where it
go
takes.
ahead, go ahead and spin that thing.
It is number 20. So the last one on
Okay,
my list.
a movie I have seen before.
Mhm.
This will be another one that we've both seen, and that is the 2019 film First Cow.
Okay. Okay. So you've seen
Very,
it.
I
Do
have
you
seen
like?
it. I don't remember it very well, to be honest with you. I actually
Mhm.
don't remember much at all about it.
It's a
Um,
very wholesome movie. There was one letterbox review that stuck with me that just encapsulated perfectly. It feels like two Animal Crossing characters. I don't know if you've ever played Animal Crossing, but it's just
I haven't, but I am familiar with it.
mhm, such
I
a wholesome movie.
is this a favorite of yours? First Cow?
It's definitely, I like it a lot. It's not in
Hmm.
my top 20, 50, whatever, but it's a movie I like a lot. And it's a movie about cooking in a sense. And I
Hmm.
love cooking. So
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm really excited to recheck this out. I'm
Hmm.
just seeing where it's streaming right now.
Hmm.
But I think I checked it out like just when I was like at the end of 2020 or 20 or I guess 19 is when it came out, just sort of seeing everything I could. And I love that poster. Um,
Yep.
like the main poster I really love.
Hmm.
Um, I'm excited to check this out again.
It's a
Um,
movie, I think.
it's on movie.
It is here. I don't know if it's over there, but it premiered
Okay.
on movie over here. That's where I watched it when it came out.
Okay, cool. Let me Interesting. I just went to go look at went to go look at my review from it from like 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I guess it released 2020 technically over here
Mm.
wide. So I'm looking forward to it. I did say in December of 2020, this is a quote, I give this film 4 stars after one viewing, but I get the feeling that that rating will only go up with any subsequent viewings. So
There
the
you
time
go.
has come. Very
There
excited.
you go.
Hopefully, I get to give this an extra notch, maybe a 4.5 or a 5 uh,
Hmm.
this time around. I'm super excited
Hell yeah.
to
Me
check
too.
it out. I feel like this was another one which I get the vibe from you, Dino. Well, I mean, I know this of you, but
Mhm.
maybe the listeners are starting to get that you are very much into very calming movies, like movies that are very calm and sort of
Mhm.
I don't want to say like simple because they're all very complex, but simple in terms of just maybe minimal is maybe the best way to
Mhm.
put it, as opposed to
Mhm.
simple.
Yeah.
Um, After like Columbus or
Mhm.
oh God, what was the other movie of yours from your list that we watched that was very much in that vein?
Green Knight or
No, it was before The Green Knight. Um, I'm blanking, but in general, it's very much it's very much that kind of vibe. So I'm super excited to get back into this and sort of because every time I watch a movie of yours, I'm not just like watching it again or
Mhm.
rewatching it. I'm really kind of watching it through like your lens, so to
Mhm.
speak. Inside Llewyn Davis, by the way, is the
Okay.
movie that yeah I could remember.
Mhm.
Inside Llewyn Davis, which is another very kind of calming sort of movie, even though there is a bit of anxiety through it. I do find it
Yeah.
very calming.
That's true. I do like very like calming, minimalistic movies.
Hmm.
I also really like other stuff, but that's definitely something that resonates with me and
Yeah,
just calms me. I like just the atmosphere. So yeah, you're
yeah,
right. This is another one of those movies.
for sure.
Yeah.
for sure. And you're right. Yeah, you definitely. It's not just that because we can't forget. 2 weeks ago, watched good old They Live, and
Hmm.
that is not a very common movie.
Hmm.
Or
And
maybe
I have
3 weeks ago
more
now.
coming on the list, which are quite the opposite of
Hell
comedy.
yeah, hell
Hmm.
yeah. Well, this was another successful episode of
Hmm.
Literally Me podcast. Everybody, thank you very much for listening, and check out First Cow so that way when we talk about it next week, you can already be ready to go. Tune in the second that this episode drops, and Dino, as always, it's always a ton of fun and always one of my favorite parts of the week talking to you.
Same, man. I think this was actually my favorite episodes
I
we've done so far. Great
I think
discussion.
so. I think
And to
so.
the audience, definitely watch the movie. Like, even if you don't want to listen to next week's episode, maybe you think that this podcast sucks for whatever reason, still watch the movie.
Yeah,
Just watch it. It's a great film.
it's a great film, and any movie that either of us are recommending, I assure you,
Mhm.
are fantastic movies. And also, courtesy of Dino, this awesome new idea of the letterbox top fours. If you guys have any specific movie characters that either you want to send in a top four and you're curious to know what we think their top four might be, definitely
Mhm.
send those over to us. Through Instagram or something. Maybe we should create a podcast email or something. People can send stuff in
We
that
have
way.
one.
What's the email? Is it literally
Email
me?
is, let me check just so make sure that wait, it's actually on here. Um, so the email is just literally me, the podcast at gmail.com.
Literally me, the podcast
Mm-hmm.
at gmail.com.
Yep,
All right, guys.
that's it.
Literally me, the podcast at gmail.com. Send in some recommendations or send in some, some characters that you want to hear a letterbox top four or, whatever. Send us some
Anything.
money, whatever you want to send us. Feel free to send
Yeah.
us anything. Um,
Or on
but
YouTube. You can always go to YouTube to
leave a
this
comment.
episode and drop a comment. Maybe that's easier for you instead of
Yeah,
sending an email
for sure.
because we read every single comment. We haven't gotten a lot, but
We'll be reading them.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or send it to us, Dino's page at Every Shot a Painting, or mine at Mandalay Film Club. And yeah, looking forward to next week's talking about First Cow.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. All right, Dino. Well, I'll
Yeah.
see you next week, and listeners, see you next week as well.
Bye bye.
See ya.